Good evening, everyone, and welcome. It's time to call this public hearing / regular school board meeting of the San Felipe Del Rio CISD Board of Trustees, today being Monday, June 17th, 2024. Mr. Secretary, would you call roll?
Yes, sir. Ms. Luna Chavez.
Present.
Mr. Almaraz.
Here.
Mr. Overfelt.
Present.
Mr. Mesa.
Here.
Ms. Guanajuato Webb.
Present.
Ms. Haynes.
Here.
Sir, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Let the record show that we do have a quorum of board members and that this meeting has been duly called and posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. At this time, we will have opening ceremonies and we will have a moment of silence for Mr. Pat Dugan, longtime teacher and principal that passed away today. So again, we're going to have a moment of silence for Mr. Dugan. This time, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance after that. Please stand. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. As I mentioned, we will have a public hearing, and then we'll close that public hearing, and then we'll start another public hearing for two separate items. First item we have is item 6, 2024-2025 budget tax rate. Amy Childress.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. This evening, we will be having our public hearing for the 2024-2025 proposed budget and tax rate. The items we will be covering will be our budget compliance, our budget projections, which consist of certified values and the attendance projections, and then our executive budget, which is comprised of our general fund budget, our food service budget, and our debt service budgets. So per the Texas Education Code, we are required for publication of notice of the proposed budget and tax rate meeting to be published in a local paper or in a county the nearest to Del Rio within 30 days is the earliest, or no later than 10 days prior to the meeting. So this notice was published in the Uvalde Leader News and the 8:30 Times on June 2nd. So one of the most important components of calculating the revenue for the general fund and the debt service fund is our property values. Again, tax code section 26.04 and CCG legal both state that the board may levy, assess, and collect annual ad valorem taxes for the maintenance of the district schools. For the 2024 preliminary values that were received in April, our freeze-adjusted taxable values are $2,777,154,048. This represents a 4.19% increase to the 2023 certified taxable values. The 2024 certified taxable values will be released by July 25th. With the current proposed tax rate of $1,000,000. The projected 2024-2025 M&O tax collections are $19,984,197, which equivalates to about $2,060.23 per student. Another important component when calculating our revenue is our attendance. The average daily attendance is a component of calculating the Foundation School Program, which is the state program that establishes the amount of state funding that districts will receive. The average daily attendance, again, is the basis for computing our state aid. For the 2025 year, we are forecasting an enrollment of 9,700 students, which would represent an average daily attendance of 8,827. The general fund is the main operating fund of the school district. It is used to account for the transactions for the ongoing operations and activities of the district. The general fund portion of the projected tax, with the projected tax rate of the 75.09 cents, reflects no change from the tax rate that was set for the 2023-24 year. One of the topics that we discussed during our budget workshops for the general fund was our health insurance fund. And the district will be transitioning from a self-funded insurance plan to a plan managed by a third-party insurance vendor during the 2024-25 year. The monthly district contribution per employee will remain at $640.01 for July 2024 through December of 2024. But then beginning in January of 2025, the monthly district contribution per employee will decrease to $460.67. As part of our budget workshops that we've been having, we have been going over the interactive workbook. And this slide is a summary of the items that are being proposed as part of the 2024-25 general fund budget. A general pay increase of 0. We are not recommending a general pay increase at this time. Personnel, due to district reorganization, we are having savings of $2,218,903. Due to the transition of our health insurance plan, we will be showing savings of $854,122. For our operation sustainability plan, due to HVAC replacement costs, we are budgeting $205,000. And for our technology sustainability plan, again for HVAC for our server room and our E-rate funding contribution, we are budgeting $75,000. For the 2024-2025 proposed budget, we are budgeting in revenue a total of $102,303,703. In general fund expenditures, we are budgeting total expenditures of $105,265,229, which represents a deficiency of revenue over expenses of $2,961,526. This next slide is a general fund crosswalk of our expenditures so that you can see in payroll expenses, represents 82.4% of the proposed budget. Our professional contracted expenses represent 7.6% of our budget. Supplies represent 3.8% of the general fund budget. Miscellaneous, which includes travel and other miscellaneous expenses, represent 4.4% of our budget. Debt payments, which is for lease payments, are 1.6% of our budget. And any type of capital expenditures represent 0.3% of our general fund budget. For the 2024-2025 food service budget, the district is proposing revenues of $7,517,647, with expenditures of $7,804,257, which would be a deficiency of revenue over expenditures of $286,610. Our debt service fund, which is also referred to as the interest and sinking fund, is used to account for the payment of our long-term debt principal and interest. For the 2024-2025 year, the district has an opportunity for defeasance or early repayment of a portion of our outstanding debt if we maintain the debt service tax rate at 0.1877 cents. We would be paying an early repayment on our Series 2016 bonds, and it would represent a present value payments of $1,159,800, but the cost to the district would be $899,319, which would represent a net present value savings of $260,481 to the district. With that, our projected debt service budget revenues are $6,158,367, with our projected expenditures of $6,017,725, which would be an excess of revenue over expenditures of $140,642. This last slide is all three of those executive budgets put together: the general fund, food service, and debt service. So at this time, we would be proposing a total district budget of $115,979,717, with total expenditures of $119,087,213, which would be a total deficiency of revenue over expenditures of $3,107,496 for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. That is all I have.
I'll turn it over to board members for questions. I have several questions. Amy, do we have a projection of kindergarten students coming in?
Not at this time.
And why are we, on the ADA, we have about 10,000 plus students?
So the projected enrollment is always a lot higher than the ADA, but we calculate the ADA conservatively every year because it's a combination of the actual attendance rate that we have and the enrollment. And what we try to do is we try to replicate what we had during the previous year, which in this case, it would be this year. Now, our attendance did go up a little bit this year, so our ADA went up a little bit, and we expect the same for next year, so that we budgeted for what we experienced the previous year.
Okay. Have we not done a 5-year projection as far as enrollment? We used to in the past.
No, sir. We did when we hired the demographer a few years ago, but the projections that the demographer shared with us were not as conservative as what they actually turned out to be, which was a decreased enrollment. I believe that, and it could have been for COVID. I'm not saying that he didn't do his due diligence, but we have lost, I think, about 300 students.
So what do we expect as far as kindergarten?
We don't have any way of knowing. The only way we have knowing is the enrollment at Cardwell has been consistent for the last 2 years, so that we would expect that the enrollment rate would continue to be the same as it was last year in kinder.
Well, I know for a fact that Head Start, word of mouth is a fantastic program. There's not too much shared for kinder. I think parents do their own enrollment because of they see how great it is and a lot of parent involvement, and there's so many different things that happen. But I think we should be able to have some projection for kindergarten because we never know. And I think it would help out with the number of units that we have, classrooms, and everything else. I'm just thinking of what else can be done to make sure that we zoom in on more accurate numbers. Found out that there's 43 states that get their funding by enrollment instead of ADA. Texas is one that does funding through enrollment instead of ADA. This is why I always talk to the principals and say, it is so important to have attendance and go and round up these students that, we get the reports and it's habitual students that go up and down, well, up the grades, not down, but we already know at the start of the year how, those students that have excessive absences, and those are the ones that we need to target when it comes to funding. But there's many other ways, and through legislation, I know that we have constantly been trying to get our state elected officials to change the funding from ADA, average daily attendance, to enrollment funding. As I mentioned, 43 states do that. We don't do that. We don't get our fair share. So we continue advocating for that, and I hope that we can get a group of teachers and make a trip to Austin when the 89th legislative session starts, I believe, January 14th. But again, to advocate for more funding, because again, it's so important to have more additional monies. And I sit here and I look across to the audience, and we have few people here, but it's sad that we cannot provide, cost of living increase. Everything goes up. When we water our lawns and buy our groceries, and everything goes up. Inflation rate pretty much 8%. And we're not able to give a raise, and it's through my 37-year career with this district, there were 2 years that we couldn't do that. The district couldn't do that, and it's sad that we can't do that. I feel for everyone else. We're trying to do our best here, and it's unfortunate, but I remember, at the convocation saying that we're going to have a big fight, and we did with the voucher program, and as a result, the governor did not release any money. It's just hanging there. $6 billion earmarked for education. And I'm going to say what somebody said in our last conference: don't vote for people that are not friendly towards public education. And that means our governor as well. I mentioned that at the convocation, and it all came to fruition. No money because vouchers, which $8 million of the people that own the charter schools and private schools, $8 million is given to Governor Abbott for his campaign for re-election. So it's a payback. And you'll hear that rhetoric, when you read Texas Tribune and other magazines and newspapers. But it's sad that we cannot provide at least a cost of increase, and we're trying to do our best. So I'll leave it at that. Anyone else have a question for Amy?
I pretty much hit it on the head there. I don't have to.
Mr. Orfeld?
You pretty much hit the nail on the head. I don't have to.
Okay. Okay. This time, we were adjourned our public hearing.
Comments?
No comments from anyone else? Public comments from, yes. You may come to the podium.
Mike's.
I'm sorry, sir. The cameras won't be able to get you for the people at home unless you come to the microphone.
Could you identify yourself then?
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Good evening. My name is Raul Castaneda. I'm a retiree from the Laughlin Air Force Base. I've been 3 years retired already, and I'm just trying to get familiar with these meetings and information and all that. But what you said, Mr. Mesa, is my question is, does the state refuse to get federal funding for education? Or do they get assistance from the federal government?
Dr. Rios, I'll let you answer that.
Yes, sir. Dr. Rios, Superintendent. The state does not prohibit any federal funding. As a matter of fact, we get different types of federal funding. So, for example, we get federal funding for properties that aren't taxable, like Laughlin Air Force Base or other properties owned by the federal government. That's a small pool of money, but it's small. Then we also get title money. Title money is all federal money. The federal government allocates about 4% of their national budget towards education. From that, we get title money, Title I money, migrant money, money for the homeless. So there's a whole pool of money, and Amy will give me the exact amount, but it's to the tune of about 1.5. Amy, I don't want to mess that up. 6 million. I'm sorry, 6 million. That money, we share a little bit of it with the private schools because it's a requirement. So the state doesn't prohibit us from getting the money. As a matter of fact, the state is a pass-through entity for the federal money that we get, and they monitor us spending it correctly.
So we do get it. We do get federal assistance there.
Yes, sir.
I was under the impression that the governor was hesitant to get monies from the federal government for whatever reasons. That's not correct then, right?
No, that's not correct. Now, there is a fight coming between the state and the federal government related to Title IX, but that hasn't happened yet. They're just starting their arguments at this point.
Okay. Are we going to talk about the gymnasium, or is that not part of the agenda here? The gymnasium that's supposed to be built here, no?
No, sir, that is,
Or remodeled, or?
that's on the agenda for next Thursday's meeting, which
Oh,
is our
okay.
final amendments meeting.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank
ladies and
you.
gentlemen, appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Then we'll adjourn our public hearing and go on to another topic, which, again, will include a public hearing. It's the item D, under 6, optional flexible school day program. Laura Sandate.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, President Mesa, and members of the board. Tonight's public hearing is covering the optional flexible school day program. The optional flexible school day program allows for flexible attendance days and hours for students who are in danger of not graduating, have previously dropped out of school, and/or are failing core area subjects. This presentation will review a set of performance indicators that are required by the optional flexible school day program. These indicators include high school graduation rates, attendance, pathways to graduation measured by EOC performance, and also credits earned. On this slide, you will see that the optional flexible school day program provides an alternative method of attendance accounting, which permits students the flexibility to attend school during certain hours of the day. The total eligible minutes for this school year was 367,475 minutes, which translates to 1,521 days of present. As for credits earned, this year's group of students at Blended Academy earned a total of 937 credits in a non-traditional setting. The next slide will show the pathways to education, which is EOC performance. On this slide, you can see English 1. There was a dip in the amount of students that passed their English 1 EOC exam. The English 2 passing rate went up to 58%. Algebra 1 and U.S. history remained about the same, and there was a small dip in the amount of students that passed the biology EOC exam. The next slide is the graduation rate for this school year, 2023-2024. Blended Academy had a total of 96 graduates. The optional flexible school day program at Blended Academy is monitored by the principal, counselor, and core area teachers. Each student plan is tailored to their specific needs and requirements for graduation. The principal, counselor, and teachers meet to review grades, attendance, and accrual of credits towards graduation requirements as a means of monitoring student performance, along with making adjustments as needed. In accordance with Texas Education Code, San Felipe Del Rio CISD intends to renew the application for the optional flexible school day program for Blended Academy for the 2024-2025 school year. That's the end of the presentation for the public hearing. Are there any questions?
Questions from board members?
No question, just a comment.
Okay, Mr. Orfeld.
I think it's been a good thing since we rolled this out. The very first time we've seen our graduation rates increase overall when you combine Delro High School ECHS and Blended. We had, 630-something walk, but the total number to graduate was 700 plus?
40.
740 or so?
43.
So, being able to do something like this allows students who normally would not be able to have that chance to graduate and be able to go in and graduate and have at least their high school diploma. So, just want to say it's been a great thing and glad we're renewing it.
Thank you, Mr. Orfeld. I just have one question. Was there a change in staffing with English 1? It's a drastic drop.
It is a drop, but we have to keep in mind that at blended, because the numbers are so low, 5 students would represent a 10% drop, because this is only a blended academy. And do you know the number of kids that tested English 1, ma'am?
I don't have that number, but I can get it.
But it is significantly low compared to everybody
Well,
else.
the others maintained pretty much, I mean, either above or just a few points below, but English 1, I just wonder if there was a change in staffing.
I don't know. I don't remember. I can't recall that off the top of my head, but we'll get that answer.
Were you, do you know the answer, Ms. Sandat?
There wasn't a change in staffing,
No.
no.
Okay.
But I can get you the numbers that
I
tested.
just
and
want
the
to see
ones
some
that
more
passed.
numbers, see what happened. Okay. No further questions. Thank you so much. We'll ask for public comments. It is a great program, and again, it accommodates for students that do not attend the traditional setting in the regular school hours. So it's something great that students can enroll in. Any public comments? Hearing none, we'll adjourn the hearing. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll go into our regular board meeting. First item we have is reports. Under 8, we have facilities and construction update. Mr. Hector Chapa.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, members of the board. Tonight's presentation includes updates on the electrical bus deployment project, as well as the bilingual / curriculum and instruction relocation move, early childhood special education remodel, and the food service department move. The electrical bus deployment, the technician has arrived today to do the final commissioning of the 7 fast rapid chargers. If everything goes well, he'll be finished by tomorrow. So Wednesday, we'll be able to utilize the rapid chargers. The bilingual curriculum and instruction relocation project. Maintenance staff has worked diligently for the past month and a couple weeks, and the project is completed, and it's ready to move in. Additionally, maintenance staff has begun a remodel project at the early childhood special education location at Cardwell Elementary, and the remodel is ongoing. It's scheduled to be completed by the end of the month. Additionally, the food service department will be relocated to the old Cardwell campus at the administration area. As part of that project, several walls are going to be demoed. They're basically partition walls, non-structural, new flooring, fresh coat of paint, and some security features to the existing windows will be added. That project is scheduled to be completed by the end of July. That concludes the ongoing projects.
Questions, Dr. Rios?
Can you go back, Mr. Chapa, to the one? The food service, they're going to make a presentation later today, but the idea is to move them to the old Cardwell building and then move Peams into the Raymond Haynes Annex, and that would get us entirely out of the portables. Once they're done with this project, then we can start talking about the maintenance department moving to Cardwell or Garfield. Right now, it looks like Cardwell will be the easier move. And then there would be two decisions. One, what do we do with the portables? They're not efficient, so do we want to give them away? Do we want to sell them? It's difficult to sell them because they have to be treated for asbestos, but giving them away would be a way to clear that property. And then the decision of what to do with the Austin building. We can put it up for sale. There had been some expressed interest from one of the nearby churches, and we told them that would be a possibility around the 24-25 school year. So it looks like that may come to pass, but very appreciative of the work that our maintenance department has been doing in trying to reduce the energy consumption and the number of buildings. So this is all part of that plan, and we hope to be close to its completion by the end of the summer.
Okay. I have a question as well, and it's in regard to the buses and Mr. Cabello's here. I passed by there several times. I wanted to stop, but I was so busy. Can you give us at least an update as to what was causing the issue with a bunch of buses?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mesa, Dr. Rios, members of the board. The vast majority of them, Mr. Mesa, were air compressors. It looks like we were just unlucky and had a bad batch of air compressors. The air compressors I explained last time run just the braking system. We're not talking about the AC air compressors, we're talking about the braking system. Several of them have already been repaired and up and running and no issues. At this time, we currently have 5 buses that are down. 4 of them are air compressors. We're simply waiting for the parts. They anticipate to arrive later this week, and then the technicians will return and install them. The last actually is an AC air compressor. That particular part is on hold, so we don't have a timeline for that one. That bus is working fine other than the AC. In the time being, just for your knowledge, we're using about 7 of those buses, of the EV buses on our summer school routes. We're not short on buses, and we're looking forward to the electric chargers or the level 3 chargers going up tomorrow.
So these individuals that were there, they have the diagnostic tools to be able to pinpoint exactly?
Yes, sir. They are from Cummins. And so, as I explained, the vast majority of the drivetrain and several of the components are either manufactured by Cummins or are a Cummins product. And that's why Cummins sends their technicians to us, which really is a benefit because they're coming out of San Antonio. Otherwise, they'd be coming out of California if it's an actual Bluebird product. So, for example, the AC compressor is not a Cummins product, and so I'm not sure who they'll send down to install that particular component when it arrives.
And remind me again, what is the guarantee? Years, what, guaranteed?
It's different. It's different years or different amount of time for the different components. The main thing is the battery, or the batteries, and that's an 8-year lifespan. The other items I really can't tell you off the top of my head. It really depends on the components. Mr.
So these fixes, did it cost the district money?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Ms. Orfeld had a question.
Trying to remember what it was. Oh, yeah. It's not about buses, so we're good there.
Okay.
On the revamp of Old Cardwell / East Side, there, I thought the whole idea over the last couple of years had been to get completely out of that building and eventually just demo it because of how old it was and inefficient. But now we're slowly moving everything back in. So just help me understand the logic or the savings in that when we were told we had to move the kids out because the building was bad. Most of the buildings were bad, but now we're shifting back into it. So that's the economics of it and the logic of it.
Two things. One, it is inefficient for students of that age because of having to walk out into the elements. And the rooms are smaller, and they're not very conducive to just a teacher's organization. It's just a really old building. But for offices, they are a lot more efficient than portable buildings, and especially the offices that were, for the type of offices that we do, not too much having to do with offices that give customer service, just our organizational offices. But they are entirely inefficient for pre-K students or even kindergarten students. But for offices, they work well, and they're a lot more efficient than portable buildings.
So if you back the slide up to that one there, is this going to be in what I would guess was one of the main office buildings? Is that where that's located?
That is the current main office building at the old East Side / Cardwell building. Yes, sir. That would have been the receptionist desk in the building.
Okay. Or if we move maintenance over there, right? That's what we said, maintenance and IT, or just maintenance?
Just maintenance.
Just maintenance. Would they be gutting and redoing the existing outbuildings for classrooms, or is everybody going to be in that main?
No, sir. If we do move maintenance over there, they would take one of the wings. They wouldn't necessarily gut them. They would just use the existing rooms as shops,
Okay.
and that would be it.
Okay. And you said that one of the churches in the area was interested in possibly purchasing Austin if we
Yes.
vacate it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Overfelt. Ms. Webb?
Yes, sir. In answering Mr. Oberfeld's question, and as far as, thank you. As far as this area, that area was revised and rebuilt when Cardwell moved from the old Travis building that flooded into that area. That was remodeled by our district. So the offices that you see on the side, those were used by some of the secretaries and attendants that were part of the Head Start program. So that work was basically all done by our district. So the offices are pretty good. The classrooms are not, but that one is. And where we have the students, which is the old library and science labs and Ms. Dixon's old counseling office, those were also added afterwards. So those are in very good condition. So.
Good deal. Thank you.
Thank you. We go on to the maintenance department.
Yes, sir. The summary of tickets. The maintenance department, for the last 90 days, they've received 1,081 tickets. They closed 937. So the 0 to 15-day tickets, they received 173. They closed 132 for a closure rate of 76%. 16 to 30 days, they received 203, closed 178, closure rate of 88%. 31 to 60 days, they received 440, closed 389 for a closure rate of 88%. And for 60 to 90 days, they received 265 tickets, closed 238 for the closure rate of 90%. Technology, for the 90 days, they received 2,143 tickets. They closed 2,040 tickets for a closure rate of 95%. 0 to 15 days, they received 351, closed 287 for a closure rate of 82%. 16 to 30 days, they received 424 tickets, closed 412 tickets for a closure rate of 97%. 31 to 60 days, they received 817 tickets, closed 799 for a closure rate of 98%. And 61 to 90 days, they received 551 tickets, closed 542 for a closure rate of 98%. Transportation, the 90 days, they received 203 tickets, closed 187 for a closure rate of 92%. 0 to 15 days, received 28, closed 20, closure rate of 71. 16 to 30 days, they received 33, closed 28 for a closure rate of 85%. 31 to 60 days received 73 tickets, closed 71 for a closure rate of 97%. And 61 to 90 days, they received 69 tickets, closed 68, closure rate of 99%.
Questions from board members? Mr. Chapa, we have a new board member, so you might want to elaborate a little bit more on some of the newer projects, like the special ed. We're buying furniture and we're kind of remodeling the special ed classrooms for special needs, and then we are transferring some of the departments, like bilingual. Dr. Lee, you want to mention some of the changes?
Sure. First at Cardwell. Cardwell has a big space for a unit there, and they had expressed the need to better organize the students. But rather than just build a wall, we waited for the summer so we can appropriately plan it. So they want to build a room that also doubles as a sensory room. So we went out there and we planned out the best way to handle the room. They're even adding some really much needed closet space. That's going to be done in-house. And then the bigger project is to move as many people as we can out of portables for lack of the efficiency. And one of the goals that the board had set for the superintendent was to reduce the number of vacant buildings, consolidate just for efficiencies. So part of the process was to move STLC to Old Cardwell into the better wing that's there. And now here at what used to be STLC, we are moving the curriculum department and the bilingual department. Prior to that, we moved the special ed department to the building behind, I think it's churches now? It's churches. That remodel was also done primarily by our staff. We're almost done with the reorganization. And then I really think that after this summer, most of our big projects will be done. The only one that'll be left is what we're going to do with the maintenance department. Are we going to go to the Garfield property or the Cardwell property? But again, the end goal is to vacate as many buildings as possible, to either sell that off, definitely stop spending money on utilities and internet, and to create efficiencies. So we're almost there. If you ever want to go tour the buildings, I know that last month at least 3, maybe 4 board members went on some tours of the building. And then just recently, Mr. Galindo went to the Cardwell building to see the plans. And so, you're welcome to just call me, and I'll either go myself or Mr. Chapa or Mr. Torres will definitely take you to some of these areas.
Yeah, I love that.
Thank you so much. And don't get your hopes up too high, because the portables nobody buys, so we don't get any money. But it's more for efficiency that they're not well insulated, and so we end up spending a lot of energy trying to heat them and cool them. So, but thank you for again the elaboration and making it better for our board member. Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Chapa? Hearing none. Thank you, sir. Next report that we have is Term 6 Attendance and Discipline Report. Laura Sandate. Or who's going to do that?
Well, we always ask if there's any questions. We do have a little bit increase in the attendance for Term 6 as compared to last year. Other than that, everything is normal, unless y'all have specific questions, or if you'd like, Sandate could come and give a full report.
Well, I just want to say there was a concerted effort across the district, especially, well, I want to say elementary and secondary, with maybe the exception of Blended Academy for secondary went down. But congratulations to Buena Vista, to Ceniza Hills, Lonnie Green. Seems like all the elementaries are 90s or close to it. And again, secondary made a great effort to try to improve attendance. So again, I don't see any questions from board members. Then we don't need to have Laura Sandate. Thank you. Next item we have
Buena
is,
Vista- I'm sorry.
yes,
Buena Vista had the highest attendance this 6 weeks.
Buena Vista. Yes, congratulations. Food service update, item C, Amy Childress and Brenda Iglesias.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. This evening, we will be providing an update on our food service program, and I have our representatives from SFE, which is our food service management company. Ms. Brenda Iglesias is the general manager. Our chef is Mr. Houston Lindsay, and our nutritionist, Ms. Laura Gonzalez.
Good evening, Dr. Mesa, Dr. Rios, members of the board. I'm Brenda Iglesias. I'm with SFE. I will show you what we did throughout the whole year with the students, with the staff, and some of our catering events. This year we started off with a brand new kitchen, a brand new campus. We had everything brand new. We were serving out of 2 lines for our K through 5th. And this is also our first year that we went CEP, meaning everybody got a free breakfast and a free lunch district-wide. Before, it was only K through 8, and now we were able to add the middle schools and the high school as well. We also started our dinner program, so they were getting breakfast, they were getting lunch, and we were also offering them dinner in case they were staying after school for tutoring or any events that they were having after school. Apart from those, we also do roving chefs with the students. Chef Houston goes with the kids and he does like little demos, little cooking stations for them. So they did their own mummy pizzas. Apart from that, we also do our farmers markets, meaning the kids get to taste different kinds of fruits and vegetables, not just the regular that we serve them every day. On this one, they were able to do gooey gooseberries and some blood oranges. We also do taste tests for the kids with different recipes. This one, they were trying the chicken mole. The chicken mole, it's not the usual that we usually make. This one was made with cocoa butter, some butter, and chili powder. We also hosted our SFE Flavor Fest. We invited different vendors that provide our product, and they were able to bring samples for the kids. We invited students from Daryl Middle, Daryl High School, and here's some of the pictures. We brought our mascot in, and the kids were able to taste a little bit of everything. These are some of the pictures of some of our events that we've had catering for our principals or staff, board meetings. And right now, we are hosting our summer school program. We are offering breakfast and lunch. Here are some of the pictures where the kids are having breakfast. And then this is all our food service staff. Our food service staff consists of almost 100 male and female ladies. Questions?
Questions from board members? Mr. Alindo?
First off, thank you for the presentation. I appreciate, what y'all do throughout the year and all of our food staff workers, and all the events that y'all go out and do. And it's great to see the programming and what y'all do throughout the year. My only area of concern, how often do y'all issue out a menu, or where does that come from?
The menu is online. We have it under NutriSlice. Laura, nutritionist, can give you more information.
Okay.
So we post it and we give out information that the menu is available. We also have a weekly menu that we post in the cafeterias, as well as a monthly menu.
Okay. And where does that come from, though?
From
SFE, or is it made by you?
by me.
By you?
and by
Okay. And
SFE.
how often is it updated?
Every month.
Every month?
Yes.
Okay. And that was just an area of concern on the variety every week, that sometimes the menu was the same thing every week. And I would just like to see that it kind of changes up for all levels to make sure the food's great, by all means, just to kind of more leveled variety. That was just one area of concern. Not so much the quality of the food, it's just the variety of, okay, we got the same thing last week, it's kind of almost the same thing this week. Those were just some areas of concern. That's a small area, but with the work that y'all have done, it's been great, very much appreciative. But just highlighting some of that area that we have also heard, or I have heard, that just something to look at for the next year, and appreciate all the work y'all do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Galindo. Anyone else? Mrs. Webb?
Also, thank you very much for everything you do. I just want to clarify, does Head Start have a different menu? They used to have a different menu prior, so I just need to clarify we do so that we can make that known as well.
We do have a different menu. There's different requirements, sugar limits, sodium levels, and
Can't hear.
Yes.
Can you get the mic
oh,
closer?
sorry. Sorry about that. Yes, so Head Start is a different program. They can't have chocolate milk. The sodium levels are different. It's serve only. They can't choose because they're little. They can't choose, okay, I want this vegetable, I don't want this vegetable. So it's serve only. They just get what's on the plate. And there's also sugar intake limits to them.
I just wanted to clarify that so that
Oh,
if they
sorry.
saw a different menu for
Yes, we
Head
do.
Start, they understood why. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mrs. Webb. Thank you for the presentation, and hopefully we can get an invitation when you have these activities going on so we can also attend. Okay. And also, since we don't have a newspaper, what is the way that you share the menu with the parents?
So we have it online, and like I said, we do and the teachers also give out the menu monthly by that page that we send out to, and we also promote that the page to whenever we go to the health fairs, right? Whenever we go to a public event, we always promote Nutri-Slice to the parents and to the community.
Would it be possible to get one of the radio stations to do I'm sure that either, KWMC, KTDR, Sergio Diaz, I just want to make sure that we try to get every avenue of
Yes.
sharing the menu with the parents as much as we could. Dr. Rios?
Yes, our principals, do y'all share the menu with your parent communication? Santiago,
Yes, so our parental, does publish it on Class Dojo, which is what we use to communicate with all of our families. And then we also have, through our, campus Facebook page, we post it there as well, on a monthly basis, along with our campus calendar.
okay, so one thing that I'll make a note of, Mr. Mesa, I just have to make sure that all the campuses are doing it, at least what Calderon is doing, and then work with Mr. Luna to see if he could work with some of the radio stations to also disseminate that.
That'd be great. Something that wouldn't cost us anything. We don't have a newspaper, so it's just. I hear when I'm doing my lawn, Buena Vista, when you're doing the announcements, I can hear it. And sometimes they say today we're having. They let the students know, but I just wonder for the parents, that don't have connectivity with social media or whatever. Okay, but thank you for what you do. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, we're down to item 9, consent agenda. Again, one action will approve all items on the consent agenda. There are some minutes of some meetings. There's some purchase orders. There's some donations, and once again, we'll post the donations on social media. We want to thank every individual that made a donation towards a school or organization. Thank you, businesses, for providing, again, your donations, and we appreciate everything that is done to support our programs throughout the district. So again, I'll ask the board members if there's any item that needs to be pulled from the consent agenda before we act on it. One action will approve all items on the consent agenda. Is there a question or is there an item that needs to be pulled out before we do take a vote? Again, there's some minutes of some meetings. If there's any corrections to be made, they can be done if you point those out. Any questions on the consent agenda? Okay. Hearing none, I will ask for a motion for the consent agenda to be approved. Motion made by Mr. Orfeld, seconded by Amy Haynes. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. We're down to item 10, administration. First item that we have under 10 is item A, consideration for the board president to appoint the 2024-2025 Board Finance Committee. Dr. Rios.
Yes, Mr. Mesa, the next three items, A, B, and C, are appointments by the board president to serve on various committees. I'll point out that there is one committee that we haven't included here, and that's the Safety Committee. However, there's one more meeting scheduled for next week, and then in the July or August meeting, we'll ask for consideration to reappoint members for that one. But for today, we're asking the board president to either reappoint or look for new members for the Board Finance Committee, the Board Policy Review Committee, and on the Board Curriculum Committee, item C, there's only one member that needs to be replaced. That's a fairly new committee. So we just need to replace Ms. Diana Gonzalez. So item A first, sir, is the Board Finance Committee. We meet monthly on the week before the board meeting to review all finance items.
Okay. I know, Becky, you have been in that committee before, finance?
The finance.
Yes. Linda, you have been on that finance committee. If you could continue serving on that committee,
Yeah, that'd
Okay.
be fine, yeah.
Linda. And then, Mr. Galindo, you've been on that finance committee as well?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. If we could have, again, Mrs. Chavez, Becky Chavez, Mr. Galindo, Linda Webb. And policy, I have been in policy. I'd like to, Amy, could you
Yes, sir.
be in policy? I'll be in policy. Josh, Mr. Orfeld. Have you done policy, Mr. Orfeld? Would you continue being on policy? You want to go to,
No, policy is fine. Yes, sir.
okay. Then Mr. Orfeld. And Mr. Diego Almaraz, could you do curriculum for us, sir? Okay, we just need one there. And I know for safety, which we'll do later, I know Mr. Galindo's been going, Josh has been going, and I am required to be on that as well. So we already have 3. We can't have 4. So,
He had a question.
yes, Mr. Galindo,
No.
you're okay? So do you have the names, Dr. Rios?
Yes, sir. For item A, the members of the committee would be Ms. Becky Chavez, Mr. Emilio Galindo, and Mrs. Linda Guanajuato Webb.
Yes.
Motion?
Yes. Okay, I'll ask for a motion. Mr. Orfeld, seconded by Amy Haynes. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. And then we go on to the next one, which is Board Policy Review Committee.
Yes, Mr. Mesa, it's the recommendation of the board president that Mr. Raymond Mesa, Mr. Josh Orfeld, and Ms. Amy Haynes serve on the Board Policy Review Committee.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion. Motion made by Mrs. Webb, seconded by Mr. Galindo. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. And then we go on to consideration for the board president to appoint Board Curriculum Committee, and we just need one, and Mr. Diego Almaraz.
Yes, Mr. Mesa, it is the board president's recommendation that Mr. Diego Almaraz be appointed to the Board Curriculum Committee to serve alongside Ms. Amy Haynes and Ms. Linda Guanajuato Webb.
Okay, is there a motion? Okay, motion made by Mr. Orfeld, seconded by Becky Chavez. All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay. We're down to item D, consideration to approve the application to TEA for the optional flexible school day program on behalf of Blended Academy.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, President Mesa, and members of the board. Based on the optional flexible school day program presentation during the public hearing, it is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve and authorize the board, president, and superintendent to sign the proposed OFSDP application to TEA on behalf of Blended Academy.
Thank you very much. You've heard the recommendation from administration. There's a motion by Amy Haynes, seconded by Mr. Galindo. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Down to item 11, curriculum and instruction. Consideration to approve submission of an application for the 2024-2025 ESSA Consolidated Federal E-Grant application for federal funding to appropriate headquarter authority as presented. You're not Ida Gomez. Ruby Adams.
Good evening, Board President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. This evening, I'm here to request approval for the submission of our 2024-2025 ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act, Consolidated E-Grant application. The Every Student Succeeds Act is a U.S. law passed in December 2015 that governs the United States kinder through 12th grade public education policy. This law replaced the No Child Left Behind, also known as NCLB. Our annual ESSA application includes the following title programs with supplemental entitlements. We begin with Title I, Part A, improving the academic achievement of students in the amount of $3,564,344. Next, Title I, Part C, Migrant, $159,887. Next, Title I, Part D, Subpart 2, Prevention and Intervention Programs for Children and Youth who are neglected, delinquent, or at risk. The amount is $19,204. We continue with Title II, Part A, Support Effective Instruction, Preparing, Training, and Recruiting Highly Qualified Teachers and Principals in the amount of $506,910. Next, Title III, Part A, Immigrant Students, $17,024. Also, Title III, Part A is our LEP, Language Instruction for Limited English Proficient and Immigrant Students, in the amount of $201,582. And finally, our Title IV, Part A, Student Support and Academic Achievement with well-rounded education, effective use of technology, and safe and healthy schools in the amount of $252,930. $252,930 for a total planning amount of $4,721,881. Does the board have any questions?
Ruby, is this a continuance?
Yes, sir. It is an annual grant application.
Okay. Question from board members? Hearing none. You want to read the recommendation, please?
Yes, sir. It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the submittal of the ESSA Consolidated Federal E-Grant application in the amount of $4,721,881 for the funding of federal programs to the appropriate headquarter authority for the 2024-2025 year as presented.
Heard the recommendation. Is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mrs. Webb, seconded by Mr. Galindo. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. We'll go on to item 11B, consideration to approve new career and technical education CTE course offered at Del Rio High School for the 2024-2025 school year. Roger Gonzalez.
Good evening, Mr. Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. CT Administration is requesting to add the following course: Mill and Cabinet Making Technology to the Architecture and Construction Cluster due to changes in Southwest Texas Junior College course catalog. This dual credit course is required to meet the contact hours to earn a Level 1 certificate from the college.
So that's awesome that we're adding courses. Someone that can take an immediate job and open up a business, small business, is great. Question from board members? Yes.
No,
Ms.
I'm
Becky?
sorry, I didn't hear, you said the word before cabinet? Cabinet, what was it?
Mill and Cabinet Making Technology.
Meal?
No. Bill? Yes. Yes, Mr. Almaraz?
Not really a question, just a comment. I went and I visited the CTE. Very, very impressed with everything that's going on there. And we spoke about this. Back when I was in school, I saw a lot of these things, happening there at the high school. Now we've got our own facility there, our own campus, where everything is done in-house. Some of the stuff that's done there by the students, very impressive. I mean, all the things, from the furniture, all those items that they work on there in-house. I mean, it really is impressive. And, just big kudos to you and the team there. 'Cause it really was enjoyable. Really was enjoyable. I've been telling a lot of people that don't know exactly what goes on there, exactly what goes on. And very impressive.
Thank you, sir.
Kudos.
Thank you, Mr. Almaraz. Anyone else? If not,
I have a
yes, question, Becky.
Just for my own sake, do citizens ever go and just call you and say, I would like to visit the CTE, just at random?
Sometimes we do. It's usually done after hours, but yes, we do have lots of people that are inquiring about the CT Center.
Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Now, for the questions, if you could read the recommendation, please.
It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the new course available to Del Rio High School students as presented.
For the recommendation, is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mr. Galindo, seconded by Mr. Webb. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Go on to business and finance. First item we have under 13 is consideration to approve the renewal of the food service management company contract with Southwest Food Service Excellence, LLC. Amy Childress.
Good evening, Mr. Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. This item is in reference to our renewing our contract with the SFE, our current food service management contractors. The original contract was executed and approved by the board on June 20th of 2022. We are allowed 4 renewals, and this would be the second renewal for this current contract.
Questions from board members? Amy, would you ask the food service, I forgot to ask them if there are any grants that they're applying for this year. I know we were able to get some serving cabinets and real nice things for the cafeteria that really improved the outlook for the serving lines.
Yes.
So maybe they can continue being
Yes, sir.
aggressive in pursuing grants.
Yes, sir. We have the National School Lunch Program grant that we apply for, equipment grant that we do apply for every year. Unfortunately, because we have received funds for all of our campuses in the past, we currently do not qualify, but we will continue
Okay.
to do the application every year.
Okay, as long as they continue trying to get some grants.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else with a question? If not, you want to read the recommendation, please?
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the renewal of the Food Service Management Company contract with Southwest Food Service Excellence, LLC.
You've heard the recommendation. I'll entertain a motion made by Becky Chavez, seconded by Mr. Almaraz. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Business and Finance, item B, discussion and possible action regarding resolution on transportation for summer community meal program. Amy Childress.
Good evening once again. This is a resolution that we did last year, and we would like to bring it forth again for this year. This is to transport We are offering our summer meal program, and this would be, the district will transport students or children that are attending the Del Rio Boys and Girls Program, and we transport them for breakfast and lunch to the Del Rio High School so that they can be part of the summer meal program that we do offer.
Okay. Questions from board members? Hearing none. Recommendation, please.
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the resolution allowing the district to transport children attending the summer program at the Del Rio Boys and Girls Club to the Del Rio High School campus to be served by the Summer Community Meal Program.
For the recommendation, I'll entertain a motion for approval. Motion made by Mr. Almaraz, seconded by Amy Haynes. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Item C, consideration approval of a resolution by the Board of Trustees of the San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District providing for the defeasance and calling for redemption certain currently outstanding obligations, authorizing the execution of an escrow agreement, delegating to certain district officials and staff the authority to effectuate matters herein resolved. Amy Childress.
Good
That's a long
evening.
statement.
Good evening once again, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. This memo, this action would be to sign the resolution to do the defeasance for the 2016 bond series as part of our debt service budget.
Okay. I know we had some prior information to this item being brought before. So any questions from board members? It'll be a cost savings. Hearing none. Recommendation.
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the resolution by the Board of Trustees of the San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District providing for the defeasance and calling for redemption certain currently outstanding obligations, authorizing the execution of an escrow agreement, delegating to certain district officials and staff the authority to effectuate matters herein resolved.
You've heard the recommendation. I'll entertain a motion for approval. Motion made by Mrs. Webb, seconded by Mr. Orfeld. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 13D, consideration to approve the 2024-2025 district compensation plans. Sandra Hernandez. This must be the 19th time that we do this, Sandra.
Yes, sir. Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. This item tonight is the approval of the 2024-25 compensation plan. And what you have is a presentation of proposed revisions to the compensation plan in alignment with the reorganization plan that was presented earlier this month. And what it includes are general updates to the pay plans, schedules, stipends, benefits, and incentives. You also have in your packet, you were provided with a summary of changes in the compensation plan.
Mr. Hernandez, can you do me a favor and press escape on and back out of that presentation?
Sure.
It's on there. Because I don't know if that messes with the dual feed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Orfeld. Questions for Sandra? Anyone? Mr. Orfeld?
I don't have my packet, but what we're approving tonight is the pay scale, keeping the pay scale and everything the same as what it's been this year, correct? Going in, i.e., we're not giving a pay, we're not.
There is no increase, sir.
No increase, right?
Correct.
I just want individuals to know, because we'll start getting calls after tonight, that, again, we're put into this situation there because of what happened in Austin. And absolutely would love to do cost of living or would like to have done something, but unfortunately, staring down a $6 million deficit, we weren't able to. If the state funds us this coming legislative session, then by all means, I'm sure we will look at doing that for the next go-round. There, but again, this was Austin and not us going in and doing that, or trying to be as fiscally responsible as we can in case the state doesn't go in and do. In the case the state doesn't go in and fund us there, because there may be districts that are giving pay raises and driving themselves much further into debt or with a deficit budget. And if they don't get funded, it will not be a pretty sight for those. So I can empathize with your frustration, employees, in not going in and getting a raise this year. But if Austin makes us good, we will take care of you the next year.
Thank you, Mr. Orfeld. I just want to make a statement as well. And we recently attended Texas Association of School Board Conference. It's called Summer Leadership Institute in San Antonio. I feel confident enough that we have board members that really strive to do their very best in providing all of the employees something. And we will look at everything that we have, including our next coming meeting. We have certified values. If anything changes for the betterment, we will try to provide something for the employees. Again, we'll ask Dr. Rios to look for something that we can do as, I want to call it a stipend or something that we can do to help out some way. So we're trying. I feel confident enough that all of the members on this board are willing to, again, provide something for our employees because, again, everything that is going on, but we'll try to find somewhere, if we have some additional funding, or find something somewhere that we can provide some help. With that being said, Sandra, you want to read the recommendation, please?
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the proposed revisions and adoption of the 2024-2025 District Compensation Plan as presented.
For the recommendation from administration, I'll entertain a motion for approval. Ms. Webb?
I have a question, too.
Question.
Yes. Sandra, in the compensation plan, are there new positions in there? Because I see something here that says new Director Curriculum and Instruction and new Human Resources. Are those new positions? Or
Ma'am, they're part of the reorganization that I shared with you. You're right, the title is different because I had presented the title of executive coordinator, but the pay grade is the same as the director pay grade. So rather than make up other titles, we kept it the same. They're all going to be, I think it was pay grade 5, Sandra?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's just the verbiage that changed so that we wouldn't have to add more positions. I'm sorry, we should have advised y'all of that.
Just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Mr. Mesa.
That's fine. So, anyone else? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval. Motion made by Mr. Orfeld, seconded by Becky Chavez. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item E, under item 13, consideration to approve the 2024-2025 district official budget. Amy Childers.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. At this time, administration would like to ask for approval of the 2024-25 general fund, food service, and debt service budgets as presented during the public hearing.
Any questions from board members? And you've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mr. Galindo, seconded by Mrs. Webb. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're down to closed session. Again, we're going to closed session pursuant to Board Policy 551.074 and 551.071. The time is 7:27 p.m. If an action item is required for a vote, it will be taken upon reconvening into open session. We're now in closed session. Okay, the time is 8:53 p.m. We're reconvening into open session. We're down to item 18. No action was taken in executive. We're down to item 18A, consideration to approve the personnel report to include the following: new hires, district vacancies, retirements, resignations. Sandra Hernandez.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. The recommendation of the administration of the Board of Trustees is to approve the resignations, vacancies, and new hires as follows. Alexandra Jo Monday for second grade teacher at Buena Vista Elementary. Ms. Diana Madrid Vidauri for science chemistry teacher at Early College High School. Zachary McDonald for the position of assistant band director at San Felipe Memorial Middle School. Eva Galvan for the position of Spanish teacher at Del Rio Freshman School. Ashley Johnson for the position of dance teacher at Del Rio High School. And Ms. Cynthia Diane Cavazos Ramirez for the position of counselor at Garfield Elementary School.
Heard the recommendation. Is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mr. Galindo, seconded by Amy Haynes. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank
Item 18B, discussion possible action to submit TEA applications for assistant principal certification waivers. Sandra Hernandez.
Yes, sir. Good evening once again. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the submission of TEA applications for assistant principal certification waivers for the 2024-2025 school year as discussed in closed session.
Heard the recommendation. Is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mr. Overfeld, seconded by Mr. Almaraz. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Dr. Rios?
So, Ms. Hernandez, just, can you reread the list of the candidates that we approved for hire? I want to make sure we didn't miss any.
Yes, the approval of Alexandra Jo Monday for second grade teacher at Buena Vista Elementary School. Diana Madrid Vidauri for the position of science chemistry teacher at Early College High School. Zachary McDonald for the position of assistant band director at San Felipe Memorial Middle School. Eva Galvan for the position of Spanish teacher at Del Rio Freshman School. Ashley Johnson for the position of dance teacher at Del Rio High School. Cynthia Diane Cavazos Ramirez for the position of counselor at Garfield Elementary School.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. There being no other items on the agenda, is there a motion for adjournment? Motion made by Amy Haynes, seconded by Mr. Galindo. All those in favor? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Dr. Rios?
Just a reminder, we'll have a meeting next Thursday at 6 p.m.
Okay, meeting next Thursday, 6 p.m. Thank you and good night, everyone.